Welcome back to Smart Life. I am Dr. Gina, and just like so many, we all have our quirks, and some may even call us clinically insane. But the cheeky scientist says we can take what others call insanity and turn those traits into superpowers for productivity. His latest article at isaiahhankel.com is called 15 Clinically Insane Things Successful People Do to Get Ahead. Dr. Hankel, welcome back to Smart Life.
Good to be back, Dr. Gina.
Now, I always enjoy hearing what part of the world you are in.
I'm in London.
In London on your book tour. Tell us just a little bit briefly about your book. We want to have you on to talk all about that. We have a different topic today, but just tell us a little bit about your book to start.
Yes, it's called Black Hole Focus, and it's about kind of why you need a purpose and how it can help you do things like live longer and feel fulfilled.
My copy today, and I have to tell you, the cover is amazing. Very, very intriguing. You say that people who, you name a lot of these 15 crazy things successful people do. One of them you say is delusions of grandeur. So is there no hope for the humble guy who doesn't have delusions of grandeur?
I think there's definitely hopes for humble people, but I think really it's two different things. There's a difference between being humble and not believing in yourself. And so when I say delusions of grandeur, I mean that you have to believe that you can accomplish the goals that you set out to do. And if you don't believe in yourself, why should anybody else?
Yeah, well, I think that's especially true. Another one you mentioned, having breaks with reality. We call those psychotic breaks, and those kind of scare me, frankly, Dr. Hankel. Tell me how breaks with reality can be helpful to someone's success.
Yeah, that's why this post was a lot of fun to write, because it's not about people who have legit problems. It's about saying that, you know what, we're all a little bit crazy, and we all do things like daydream. And instead of thinking that doing something like daydreaming or having a light break from reality is bad, it's actually a good thing. It's actually something that a lot of successful people do, because to take an idea, any idea, from that state where it's just a vision in your head to creating a reality. It means kind of having a break with reality. You have to be able to see it in your mind before you can bring it into existence. And so people that spend time being creative or entertaining those visions are the ones who tend to go on and make them happen.
You also mentioned mania. When you hear about people that are bipolar, I always think, I definitely think that I have manic moments. I don't have the depressive moments, but I definitely have the manic times where I just seem to have a ton of energy and creative ideas, and I can't stop. And you would have actually communicated about some of these back channel. But you say these manic periods may not mean that you are manic depressive. They might just mean that you're incredibly productive and creative and likely to be successful. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you be manic. How did I know that was true? So, yeah, this again, there are people, real people have serious problems that need treatment and medication, but this idea that being manic or really excited or jumping around from idea to idea, always being a bad thing is just flat out wrong. And I think there are people out there that actually perform better when they allow themselves not to be reined in, but jump from A to B to C instead of always going, or jump, around and around A, C, D, E, instead of just going all of A, all of B, all of C. And in that sense, I think that mania can actually enhance creativity and be a good thing for some people.
But you also mentioned depression can actually be productive. Tell us about that.
And this is, I say this a lot, to channel pain into productivity. And you can't really experience the highs without the lows. And so if you kind of flip it and see, feeling depressed or sad, those moments that might come after a long, hard day, just know that that's part of the process. And then use that to drive you forward the next day, instead of, sinking low into it and thinking that something's wrong with you just because you're feeling that way.
It's interesting. You mentioned withdraw socially, and I tend to be a person who's out in public a lot like you are, but I do find that I get to where I am so fed up with being surrounded with people all the time that I kind of do go into that shell, and that's when I get my most productive work done. Sometimes for hours or days, aside from work, I'll just kind of go into my shell and write, and work. And so is that the sort of withdrawing socially that you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. And this is something that a lot of people especially introverts, do. And sometimes, some of the best speakers are actually introverts. An introvert technically is someone who gets energy when they're by themselves doing things like writing. And so a lot of people are that way. There's a great book called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a Noisy World that talks about a lot of these studies where withdrawing socially can actually be energizing. And instead of thinking that something's wrong with you and you need to be fixed, you should use that to your advantage.
You also mentioned talking to yourself and hearing voices, two clear signs that something might be wrong. You say it might also help you be successful. How?
I love talking to myself, and I'm a big believer in, saying things out loud to make them true. Not just empty platitudes, but this idea of self-directed speech that triggers mental pictures that actually helps you perform better. And there's a lot of studies on this, and I reference a couple in the articles. But saying things to yourself, that go beyond self-affirmations, but are actually instructive, can help you perform better. And the same with hearing voices. A lot of people hear this negative voice that's nagging in the back of their head saying, oh, you messed up again. You can't do that. What are you thinking? But instead, if you kind of flip it and take hold of that voice and turn it into kind of like your best friend or your coach, where it might say, you got this. Oh, don't worry about that. No big deal. You'll get him next time. Or come on, this isn't going to be a problem. You're great at this. There's an advantage in that. And so if you're going to hear voices, hear positive voices that are your friend and not negative voices that are against you.
One of the symptoms of a histrionic personality disorder, as it's called in the DSM, is that you flirt excessively. You say flirting might actually be productive and even to a histrionic degree for success. Tell us, and be quick because we don't have much time left.
Yes, and I think this idea that attention seeking is a bad thing is absolutely wrong. Seeking attention can be a good thing. You just have to do it in the right way, not the annoying way, but in the way that's going to help you in this economy that we are in, which has been called the attention or connection economy. It's an economy where large manufacturers like Beckman Coulter, who make medical devices that save people's lives, are being sold for about $7 billion, and then where WhatsApp that allows you to send text messages only is being sold for $19 billion. So things are changing, and seeking attention in the right way is not a bad thing.
All right, Dr. Isaiah Hankel, tell us where we can find all of this information for we insane folks who want to see it.
It's IsaiahHankel.com.
IsaiahHankel.com.